Okay, so just have your props handy. So if you can have your blanket and just fold it up, just so it's a couple of kind of chunky inches thick. And then just have your yoga block or your book handy, and then your nice pillow from your bed handy. So we're going to start tonight's class in a bit of a meditation. Like I said, Yin is very deeply relaxing, and we have been working a lot this week on our spine and opening our shoulders. So we kind of want to, the process behind that thought for class was just work, stress, hunching over desks and things. So another element of not just opening the physical body is also helping the mental body. So we're just going to start doing a little bit of meditation. So we're just going to come onto our backs and bring your feet so that they're mat width. And then we're just going to knock our knees into touch, and as we do that, we're just going to pick up our toes and turn our toes into touch, dot to touch, turn our toes inward. And then just bring our right hand onto our tummy and place our left hand on top. And just take a couple of breaths here, closing down the eyes. And just taking a couple of sighs. And just imagining that you've got a really heavy blanket across your body. And the weight of that blanket is just sinking you further and further into your mat. Knowing that this pose is secure, it's safe. Where you are right now on your mat is where your body wants you to be. And to help us come into a slight meditative state, we're just going to start some breathing techniques. And if you're breathing at the minute and you feel like it's at a level and you want to just keep your own technique, you're welcome to. I'm just going to talk you through the first couple of rounds of this breathing technique, and then you can continue it. So we're going to do a ladder breathing technique where we inhale and we exhale at the same rate, and gradually making the inhales and the exhales longer. So together we're just going to take a big deep breath in, let go a sigh, then inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're welcome to keep that going, potentially increasing it to 8 or 9. Or just staying with a level that felt comfortable for you. If you felt that 7 was a strain and 5 is more acceptable for your body to take, you can just take 5 on your inhale and 5 on your exhale. And just making that breath just really flow gently in and gently escape from the body. We're not putting any pressure on the breath here. Just letting it wash through our body. And then with every exhale, just letting your body sink that little bit deeper. And tap in to what you're feeling. We're just going to take a couple of moments of silence here. taking one more round of breath. One more inhale. And one more exhale. And once you've finished your exhale, just slowly picking up your knees and just bringing them in towards your chest and just hugging our knees in. And if you had your eyes closed, maybe starting to peek your eyes open, but just keeping your gaze nice and soft. And then just rolling over to a comfortable side and then pushing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. So that breath that we tapped into, I want you to try and keep a nice long inhale, long exhale throughout the class. There's nothing that we're doing that will cause our breath to become increased like you would if you were doing exercise. And that breath will really help you with some of the postures. So just bringing your blanket, which should be nice and folded up, and just lifting yourself onto the blanket. So you're just sitting on the blanket. And then bringing your feet out in front. So we're bringing our legs so that they're in a nice diamond shape here. So making sure that your feet are far away. And then taking your pillow and just having it handy here. So we're going to come into a butterfly position. So we want to think about our back is the thing that's extending here. It's not our inner thighs. So if you feel any tightness that is something that you can't hold for a couple of minutes here, just walk your feet out a little bit more. So you want to think about letting your pelvis tip a little bit back. So if we had a bowl of water, we want our pelvis to tip so that the water would be falling out the front. And that is just allowing us to lift out of our sit bones a little bit more and lift our chest up and create a nice long spine. I'm going to bring our pillow just lengthwise so it just nuzzles on top of our feet here. Taking an inhale and just imagining someone's pulling the top of your head with a string, broadening through the shoulders. And then on an exhale, we're just going to fold forward, creating a nice bend, creating our back to become nice and curved. And if you want to even fold over that pillow so it comes slightly closer, and just bringing your forehead down to that pillow. So all through this class, we're looking to just stretch out the connective tissue surrounding our spine. Through giving just some gentle stress to the area. Knowing that any intensity that comes up is there for your body to change. You're stretching it and you're increasing the blood flow to these areas. And anywhere you are feeling that, just sending your inhales to that area. So even visualizing where you want to send your breath to. And then with every exhale, removing that intensity. Remembering that this practice is for you and nobody else. And only you know the true feeling that are happening in your body. Just making sure that we're not holding on to tension anywhere else in the body. So checking that we're not clenching our jaw, our shoulders are nice and relaxed. Allowing the weight of gravity and the weight of our own self to let the body open. Feeling your spine slowly start to stretch out. And honouring those tiny sensations, tiny movements in our body. And just committing to this stillness. Making sure your breath is still serving you in this pose. We're just going to take 2 more breaths in this pose. Nothing in Yin is ever done at any great speed. Just in your own pace, maybe starting to lift the head up. And just pausing for a couple of moments, keeping that nice long spine. And then slowly rising your chest all the way up. And then just placing that pillow just off to the side. And then just removing that blanket from under your hips. And slowly bringing your knees back up through center and just using your hands if you need to. Placing your feet onto the mat, hands behind you. I'm just going to drop our knees out to the right hand side. And picking them up and then just dropping them to the left. Starting to stretch into the back. So we extend and we flex. And then having your pillow handy again, and maybe your block actually as well. Just going to roll over your ankles. We're going to come all the way down to our front. And you're going to bring your pillow just underneath your chest here. So you might just need to push yourself up. So you should have your elbows are kind of nuzzled into the top of where the pillow is, and your hand should just be able to grab your elbows, so your hands will be out and almost like a number 11. Bringing your feet nice and wide, so your toes are going to point out to almost to like 7 and 5 on the clock face. And you might need to just do a couple of adjustments here just to get yourself into a nice comfortable position. Rolling the shoulders back, and you can lift up through the chest. We're just going to come into this Sphinx pose. And if this does feel intense on your back, you can just bring your elbows further forward. And just like I said at the start, you want to find your edge in this pose. So lift up through the chest. So you start to feel the muscles in your back contracting and then holding this pose. Again, you're welcome to close down your eyes, or you can drop your head forward. So in our butterfly pose, we're extending the spine forward. In our Sphinx pose, we're flexing the spine back. And by holding poses like this in Yin, as I mentioned, we increase the blood flow to it. And we increase the production of lubricants around our joints and all our tissues. We get into the deep layers of the fascia in the body. Layers which we never really give much attention. In yoga, we obviously do a lot of stretching and bending and movement, but by holding them for these long periods of time, just allow that deep level of opening. And something that I invite you to do is just bend your knees if you wish and flex your feet. And if you come into that position and it's too much in your lower back, you're welcome to drop your feet. Or if flexing your toes is too much, you can just have them relaxed. Keeping your lovely, long, cultivated breath with you. Keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. Welcoming in any deep sighs as you exhale if it's what your body's calling you to do. Just taking 2 more breaths in this pose. And if you did raise your feet, just slowly bringing your feet down to the earth. And then just pushing your hands lightly into the mat, just so we can move that pillow. And then bringing our torso down and just feeling how the body reacts as you move out of the pose. Bringing your hands on top of one another, just bringing your head down. And then bringing our feet back in so that they're in line with our hips, so as if you were going into a high plank shape here. And then you're just going to pick up your right knee and just bring it in line with your right hip, so a nice 90-degree angle with your knee. And then just settle back down. Just a counter to what we just did. So we won't be holding this too long. Just giving our lower back a bit of a release. And then just bringing our right foot back down to the mat, and then just picking up our left knee this time. So left knee comes in line with the hip, and then there's a nice 90-degree angle with the left knee. Then resettling back down. Just giving our lower back a bit of space. And then bringing that knee back to meet it. And then just bringing your hands under your shoulders. We're just going to push back into a nice child's pose. Just sinking your hips all the way down to your feet, reaching your hands in front. Feeling our spine start to stretch out again. So
So slowly moving from the extension to the flexion, pushing the hands into the mat. And then slowly starting to rise up. Then just dropping yourself down, just bringing yourself into a comfortable seat here. We're going to need all 3 props for this one. So we're going to bring our legs directly out in front. So your feet are going to be at least hip width. They can come a little bit wider. We're just going to bring the blanket just for behind the knees here. So we're taking this out from a stretch into our hamstrings. And then just like we did beforehand, we're just going to bring our pillow just onto our knees so our body can lie on it. So we're going to reach our hands up, and I want you to really push your sit bones into the earth. So if you need to even adjust slightly, as we do we're a bit fleshy obviously in our bums. So just so you can really feel your sit bones in the earth, pushing your sit bones down, reach your hands up, and really think about finding length in your spine. So try not to bend back here, ribs are tucked in, stretching up. And then on an exhale, we're going to fold forward over our legs. Remember, this stretch is with our back and not with our legs. So making sure we've got that nice reaching action, as if someone was pulling your hands. And then once you've found your position, just melting down into the mat. And if you want to, or melting down the pillow, if you want to rise your pillow a little bit closer, just bring your block underneath it. So keeping that action as if someone was pulling your hands, and then resting your hands down to your legs. Again, just adjusting your props just to wherever is comfortable for you. Feeling a nice openness along the top of your back here. Just letting your shoulder blades melt away from one another. Just really letting your underarms sink into the pillow. Still pushing your sit bones into the mat. Keeping that idea of someone pulling your hands forward. And keeping your head nice and heavy. So we'll slowly feel all along our back start to open up. So as we push our sit bones into the earth, we feel from our tailbone to our lumbar spine start to find some release. People often complain about lower back issues. What we're doing now is allowing our back to find some release, to come into a position that it doesn't often come into if you're sitting all day, allowing it to counteract that shape. Keeping your breath with you. Thinking about with every inhale, sending your breath out your back. Allowing your ribs to expand fully. Just taking another couple of breaths in this pose, maybe taking a couple of tiny shifts, just to make sure you're really getting the benefit. Taking 2 more nourishing inhales and releasing exhales. And then just slowly, using your hands as a support, almost walk your hands back up your legs, set them on the pillow, and use that to push you back up really slowly. As I said, there's nothing in yin is done at any kind of pace. Then roll your shoulders down your back. And then set your pillow and your block, if you have it, just off to the side. And then just slide that blanket, and then using your hands, just bring them behind your knees and set your feet onto the mat. It's just giving your body a little hand here. And then we're just going to bring our hands behind us, just to do a bit of a counter action to that. And we're just going to lightly push into our feet and just lift our hips, just coming into a bit of a reverse plank here. Opening through the chest, tailbone under. Taking one more breath, and then exhale to slowly lower it back down. And then we're going to cross over our ankles and come onto our tummy. We don't need any props for this one. We're going to bring our left arm directly out from our left shoulder. So like we talked about in that last pose, so if someone's reaching and pulling your hand and then setting it on the ground. Using your right hand just as a little guide, we're just going to roll our body over so that our left temple is on the mat and our hips are stacked. Now you might have done this pose with me before, where we keep the right hand on the ground and we almost push so that we're stretching into our left shoulder. We're going to come into a variation of this, so it's more into our back, so we're doing a twist. So picking up our right foot and then just setting our right foot behind our left leg. We're picking up our right hand and bringing our right hand across the small of our back. So we're coming into a bit of a twist here. And if that isn't comfortable for you, you are welcome to bring the block or the pillow in front of your body and just rest your hand there. Again, taking whatever tiny movements you need to. If you want to relieve the pressure on your shoulder, you can even walk your left hand down towards your hips a bit more. So you're coming into a twist in our upper back here. Making sure you're not holding on to tension anywhere else in the body. Allowing the breath to guide you through this pose. Counting your inhales and your exhales if you need to. Taking 2 more breaths here. Exhaling with a sigh if you need to. If you brought your hands across the small of your back, just unwinding that, placing that in front of you, bringing your right foot back on top of your left, and then just rolling onto your front really slowly. And then just swapping it up, so bringing your right hand out. Again, as if someone's pulling that hand away from you, so your shoulders coming out, rolling onto that right hand side, and stacking the hips. Then placing the left foot this time behind the right. And then just keeping your right hand in front if you want it for balance, or just bringing it across the small of your back just to increase that twist. And you want to bring your hand kind of nuzzle it up in between your shoulder blades. So we're getting an open through the chest here. We're getting a slight twist in the thoracic spine. Again, if it is too intense in your right shoulder, just moving your hands slightly down so it's closer to your hip, so it's more at a 45-degree angle. Surrendering your body into the pose. Letting your breath wash over you. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then if you've done your second exhale, just slowly unwinding your right hand, bringing it in front of your chest, your left hand, picking up your left leg, bringing that back on top, and then just rolling over onto your front. And just placing one hand on top of the other, just letting your hips sway from side to side. And then just rolling over onto your back. You can just flip over. I'm just doing this way so I can still see the clock. And then you're going to have your block nice and handy, coming to lie down on top of your block. So your block is going to come just to the very tips of your shoulder blades here. So you might want to nuzzle it about a bit. So you see where the very tips of your shoulder blades are, that's where your block will go. So your block is in the middle of your back here. And we're going to bring our hands directly up overhead, keeping a nice bend in our knees, letting our shoulders melt down into the ground. So our ribs will be flaring up towards the sky. And we're expanding through the chest. So if you sit at a desk all day, what we're doing with our spine right now is an opposite of what we do hunched over a keyboard. So this is a great posture to do, even for a minute or two during your working day. Surrendering your body down to the mat. Just letting your ribs become really heavy. We spoke about at the start of class about that heavy blanket being placed over your body. And if your breath feels a little bit restricted in this pose, starting to breathe more into your belly here. Just letting your belly rise up and down. Taking 2 more meaningful breaths. just slowly bringing your hands back down by your side, pushing your feet into the mat just so you can slide that block out from underneath your back, and then slowly letting your hips and your spine roll all the way back down to the mat. Then keeping your left leg nice and bent, we're going to straighten out our right leg. Then we're going to bring our left toes, we're going to turn our feet slightly to the right, just so our toes are nuzzled behind our right knee. Then I'm going to shift our hips slightly to the left, and then we're going to drop that left knee out towards the right hand side. So you'll maybe get to a point where you're maybe about 12 inches off the mat and you feel like you can go no further. Just move your hips slightly more over to the left, and just really slowly let your body drop out to the right. And if you want to, you can even place your block under that left knee. But feel free to lift those hips as much off the ground as you need to, just so you can feel that nice stretch in your left lower back. And if you want to even bring your pillow just out to your left hand side, so you can let your left arm sit on your pillow, you can. Coming into more of a supported twist here, to the right leg's nice and straight, the left leg's bent. So wringing out the spine. Finding compression in some areas and expansion in others. And also finding a little bit of openness and engagement in the hips. Often when people have lower back issues, it can also come from having issues with their hips. So any work that we do on the spine, we need to do some supplementary work to the pelvis as well. Releasing down into that for another couple of breaths. Holding on to nothing. Then inhaling your knees back through the center, placing your feet onto the mat. And if you want to bring your pillow out for support, just bring that over to the right hand side this time. Your block is going to come over to your left. Your left knee is going to be bent. Oh no, sorry. Your right knee is going to be bent. Left leg nice and straight. And again, just nuzzling your toes just behind your knee there. Lifting up your hips, just moving over to the right hand side, and then letting that right knee drop out to the left. And again, making whatever movement you need to in order to get a really nice twist in the spine and a nice stretch in our lower right corner of our back. So your right arm can be resting on a cushion, and your right knee can be resting on a block, or it can just be hovering if that feels okay in your back. Maybe starting to feel it more into our right glute. Keeping your breath with you. Allowing your body to surrender down. And if you still have your eyes open, I just welcome you to start to soften your gaze. And maybe close down the eyes. Taking 2 more breaths here. And slowly bringing yourself back through the center, placing your feet onto the mat with squaring off your hips. And I'm just going to do a suggestion just for Shavasana if you would like to. So just bringing your pillow down your mat just so it comes underneath your knees. So there's a slight bend in your knees here. And then taking your block or your book, and you're just going to pick up your head and just place the bottom of your skull on that block. So your head is slightly lifted, so you have a slight tuck in your chin here. So you've got support through the low back. And then just let your hands spread out to the side. If you want to even get your blanket and put your blanket over you, you're welcome to do that. Letting your feet fall out to the side, palms spin up to the sky, knees are nice and heavy. And together taking a deep inhale, exhale out a sigh, let the body sink down, melting into the mat. Letting that invisible weight drop down onto your body. And just finding some moments of rest here, some moments of stillness. And staying with this stillness, releasing your breath and honouring what your body has just done through practice.